What is going on, guys? Jack here and welcome back to another Football Manager 2019 video. And today I'm going to be showcasing my 4 squad views, which are now all available for download from the Steam Workshop, and there is also a Brucey bonus of a tactics page view. These 4 squad views kind of make up the 4 pillars, I guess, when it comes to how I like to play the game, how I like to have information kind of divided up. And hopefully you guys are going to find them all useful. They're all available on the Steam Workshop right now. So to start this video, I'm just going to show you how to get these off the Steam Workshop. You can go in-game to Football Manager, you go FM and then Downloads. You need to make sure you have Steam in-game overlay turned on. It's on by default, so if you don't touch your Steam settings much, don't worry about it. This will all be fine. Obviously, if it doesn't work and it says you need to enable it, Google it or go to your settings if you know what you're doing and enable the Steam in-game overlay. Anyway, once you're here, you're going to go to download add-ons directly from Steam, and this is going to take you to the Football Manager Steam Workshop. From here, you can search WorkTheSpace, and you will be able to see all my files, including obviously the Wonder Kid shortlists that we've done. But as you can see here, we've got a number of different squad views. Now, my main squad view has been available for quite some time. This is the one that you've probably seen the most in my videos. Obviously, this is the go-to one. So once you've got the files that you want, you can come to it and click subscribe. This will subscribe you to the Ultimate Squad view. Once you see this, it means that the game has been added. Sometimes this can bug out at this point if for whatever reason in the following steps that I'm going to show you the file doesn't show. Try unsubscribing, resubscribing, restarting your game. The workshop can just sometimes be a little temperamental when it comes to stuff like that. You'll also see here that there is also a collection that I've set up. This has all my custom squad views in one place. Obviously, we just subscribed to the Ultimate Squad view, but as you can see here, there are 4 more. The Training Squad view, the Team Profile Squad view, the Match Stats Squad view, and the Tactics Screen view. You can see previews of each and every one of these on the actual page itself, so if you want to see them before you download them, this is the place to go. But yeah, all in all, these squad views are the main ones that I use. And if you do enjoy these files, it's a little thing really, but if you can just go to them, give them a rating, give them a favourite, that does make a massive difference on the workshop. So yeah, if you enjoy these files, it really is appreciated if you go back and do it. It takes a second of your time, and it does go a long way. So anyway, we've subscribed to all these files. When you subscribe to a file, that means it's going to be downloading. And well, to get these in-game, once the download is done, you're going to go to this drop-down on the squad page, Custom, Import View, and then the Steam Workshop views will have this little icon to the left, which means they've been downloaded. So we're going to just import each one of these one at a time, and well, if you do it correctly, you will see a little message come up saying that it's been successfully added to the game. And yeah, these are the 4 views, as I said, that I do use the most. These are all very, very detailed, as you will see in just a second. I want to talk about the significance of each one, where I like to use each one. I will say now that they are designed for my kind of TV, or rather my screen resolution. I don't play on a TV. I'm not using an Xbox controller right now. That would be weird. And obviously, there is also the Tactics view, which I mentioned, which again, exact same steps. You just go to Import, then select the Tactics Screen view. So just on the Tactics Screen view, this is what this one is. By default, you will have selection info here. I feel like there's a lot of information here that's a little unnecessary, you know, having the roll ability as well as kind of the roll comfortableness. It's just 2 bits of the same information. So with my tactics view, I've kind of scrapped that down, compressed this in. You can see your appearances, you know, the recent form of a player, the actual average rating of the player, and the injury risk going into a game. Obviously, this is the last screen you see before you submit your squad. So kind of the idea was here that all the information you see is the information you might want to have in mind when it comes to, well, selecting your team or making any last-minute changes. But anyway, that is not the interesting thing when it comes to this. Of course, the Ultimate Squad view and the other squad views are the real thing of interest. So the Ultimate Squad view is one that you've seen in all my videos if you've been watching this year. This is the one that I think is best suited to videos in terms of it's not too overcrowded. It allows you at a glance to catch a lot of information that I can't always go through in episodes. If you're just starting out and you don't want to have information overload, I think this is a pretty good starting point, and this is the one that I tend to leave things on. But as I said, there are 3 other views. So anyway, we'll start with the team profile view. This one kind of says what it is on the tin. Essentially, this is one that I'll use when I'm kind of looking at my squad, especially when I first take over a team. I'm trying to get familiar. At a glance, it allows you to see the key players in a team, player personalities, your hierarchy, your social groups. player morale, also which players are playing the most amount of football in your team and who the top performers are, which is always useful to have, I feel like. And also you can see here a selection of mentals. So the mentals I have are determination, work rate, teamwork, concentration and decision making. These are the 5 that I have a lot of value in and hold a lot of kind of respect for, I guess, in Football Manager, in terms of if a player has these, I think they're going to perform pretty well. And obviously, if a player has all of these, they're quite a desirable person to have. Obviously, you can also see the hierarchy at a glance, which is kind of useful. You can look at all the different social groups and how everyone fits together. Personalities too, always a useful thing to have. Of course, with a new mentoring system, it can be good to see who the players are, who you might want to keep hold of, keep tabs on how players' personalities change over a number of years. And yeah, this squad view in general, I think is quite a good one for getting a better grasp of your team off the pitch. You know, sometimes you kind of forget about all the other numbers. People get too bogged down in just player attributes when actually personality, the hierarchy, morale, all of this plays a massive, massive factor. And as I said, I feel like these mentals that I have selected for me are 5 that I just think are very, very important in a lot of team systems. Of course, with all these views, you can customize them by going to customize current view. If there's stuff that you want to change, maybe you don't agree with concentration, you'd rather have composure in there, just for an example, or, you know, depending on your tactical system, you might have slightly different values that you want to judge your team on. I will say, when it comes to editing these squad views, Football Manager is really, really finicky when it comes to columns. So if you don't want to be frustrated, try not to save over the original squad views that you download, because, yeah, you can break these kind of easily, and it's very, very frustrating trying to get them just right after they break. Anyway, that is the team profile view. Here we have the match stats view. Now, this is going to be very much information overload. This is one that I kind of just like from a stats geek perspective. It can be quite useful for a few different reasons, though. You can see, obviously, which players are playing the most amount of football. It's kind of divided up into a few different areas here. So you've got ability and the form in the last 5 games. Then these kind of areas here, this information is kind of what I consider the standard information stuff that is always worth knowing about. Obviously, stuff like appearances. Points per game that a player gets can sometimes be useful to work out which players are actually single-handedly winning you points and which ones are really, you know, the big contributors. Minutes, obviously, does what it says on the tin. With this save game, I'm just playing at the end of my first season with Bayer to show you, because obviously all the stats are nicely filled out. You can look at stuff like goal scorers, assisters, average rating. I feel like these are included in a lot of other views. It's kind of when we get onto these other sections that there's other stuff that you might not always look at. So, for example, we have stuff like headers that were won and the heading percentage, you know, in terms of how many the aerial duel percentages. So you can see Sven Bender struggling in the air, Jonathan Tat, on the other hand, 82%. This can be really useful just to kind of see which players might be losing you battles. As we go through these, you'll see how these can also be used to sometimes refine your tactics a little bit. The next one we have is tackles won and tackles completed, and also key tackles and interceptions. So I consider these some of the more defending-orientated stats. Obviously, heading kind of comes into that quite a bit with your centre-backs. Next, we have the kind of winger stats in terms of dribble, distance cover per 90 minutes. Obviously, that one isn't really winger-orientated, but it kind of links in with the next few, which are dribbles made total, crosses completed, and also crosses kind of attempted and the percentage success on crosses. Which, as you can see, looking at my team, other than a few players who put 1 cross in all season, really wasn't that great across the whole year. So maybe something to bear in mind there. Anyway, you can then see we have passes attempted and passes completion. Stuff like this can sometimes be useful to see where you're losing the ball. You know, just looking at a glance, working out which players might be giving the ball away a little bit too often. On top of that, we've got key passes, chances created. So you can see here just how bigger a player Kai Havertz was in my team. As well as you can see here, Leon Bailey. When you compare it to some of the other players like Julian Brandt, you realise just how much more Leon Bailey was doing in the exact same position and role, just on the other side of the pitch. Obviously, that doesn't mean that Brandt wasn't playing as well. It might be a case of the system benefits the right-sided player that little bit more. But regardless, again, this is information that you wouldn't always be able to find. As you can see, all of these kind of passing and creativity-based things, so key passes, chances created, shots, and shots on target percentage. And then we come on to just a few miscellaneous bits and pieces, stuff like mistakes that lead to goals, fouls against, fouls made, yellow cards and red cards. And this is a little bit bugged out, but there's also offsides here, although not the most important of stats. So yeah, this can be quite a good one if you just want to kind of stats geek it out. It can also be pretty useful for comparing two players who play the same position or a similar role. For example, I might look at Kai Havertz and Paqueta, who played a similar role in the team. And very, very quickly, you can build up a picture of comparing the two in terms of the ratings that they had across the last 5 games, their average ratings obviously for the year, and where the differences were between the two players. And obviously the percentages act as kind of an aggregate for that versus the totals. Anyway, the last view that I've got for you guys is the training view. This one, fairly standard, but this has all the key stuff that you might want to see when you come to train. Obviously, the training screens in general this year are a massive, massive improvement on what they were. However, I do get little annoyances. Stuff like individual training, information can be a little bit cut off here to see kind of all the players' position and role and duty training, their additional focus, their intensity level, and any trait that you're teaching them. It's kind of you have to click through one at a time. With this squad view, it obviously allows you to see the traits that you're currently tutoring, the intensity of the players that are in training, their focuses and their position and roles that they're being trained in, just all at a glance. And it can also help you just really quickly kind of check up on training. So they're kind of the 4 main pillars. I feel like this section in the middle, you can set up all your training from this screen if you want to. Naturally, I think the training screen probably does a better way of showing this in a more elegant way. But besides that, you can also see here we have overall training performance. You can also look at your entire team's training performances ranked, which is kind of nice with all this additional detail. We then have the different categories of training, with the exception of the goalkeeping ones, because I don't think they're as important. And it shows you the players' progress in each of the 5 disciplines. So, for example, Retsos at the moment has been going through a crazy period of development, as you can see here, which is pretty blooming good to say it's the end of the season. And you can see here his training rating's good too. So yeah, I feel like this area here is very much about monitoring your training. You can kind of see who's performing well and who's doing what. We then have workload, injury risk, and then current happiness. As you can see here, a few players unhappy, most players content. I have also got it set up here so that if I want to, I can just slide to the right, cha-cha slide style, and see the training happiness in detail. I don't tend to use that quite so much. Very often, if a player's unhappy, I'll just click on it and see that individual thing. But yeah, kind of useful here to be able to look at a glance at who's happy with training, who's not so happy and why. And obviously you can quickly tweak training if you need to, or at a glance see who's not training so well, and maybe then make the appropriate action all from this screen. Obviously I'm trying to think of an example here. I guess Paqueta here been struggling with his possession technicals and his fitness. If we look at his actual training, you can see here his dribbling's gone down, his bravery and his agility and balance have started dropping off. We can also, obviously, with this view, look at the fact that he's content with his training at the moment. I thought he should be doing more quickness training, so that might link into his fitness, obviously, from here. You can change the training, or alternatively, if you know exactly what you're doing, you can just come here and change it to quickness really, really quickly and easily. So yeah, they're the 4 squad views. Obviously the training one, the stats one, the team profile, kind of squad DNA one, and then kind of just the ultimate view, which is kind of the one that's got most of the key information laid out cleanly. I think they all have their own unique uses. I think they're all worth kind of trying out yourself to find out which ones you like the best. And yeah, hopefully you do enjoy them all. As I said, you can get them on the Steam Workshop. I showed that at the start of the video. If you enjoy them, do leave a like on them. If you've got any questions with regards to the views, maybe there's columns that you use that I'm missing. I have no doubt there's probably some really useful bits of information that I'm just omitting because I'm not aware of them. Feel free to leave me and let me know those down in the comments. And yeah, that is going to be all from me today, guys. Hopefully you have enjoyed this quick walkthrough of my views. If you've got any questions with regards to them, leave them down below. And other than that, it is me, Jack, and I will talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.